Do you remember that evening at the start of the year, when you sat at your desk, flipped to a fresh page, and wrote lines that sounded so full of promise? Increase income, save 20%, invest consistently, learn one new skill for a raise. You smiled, taped those lines to the wall, set them as your phone wallpaper, and felt that tomorrow would be different. Weeks passed, old habits quietly returned, daily life pulled you along, and the paper stayed there like a mirror reflecting the distance. If goals truly had pulling power, we'd all be wealthy by now. But the road from where you are to a wealthier version of yourself doesn't live in slogans. It lives in what you can do today, repeat tomorrow, and still do on the busiest day next month. Its name is a system. Today, I want to invite you away from the noise of shiny destinations and into a calm conversation about something smaller but stronger: the habit machine. Inspired by the spirit of the book Atomic Habits, an enduring guide to the power of tiny changes and how 1% compounding can bend the progress curve, we'll dismantle a common misunderstanding. Goals don't make you rich, systems do. You don't need another dream. You need a mechanism that runs smoothly, with low friction, and doesn't depend on inspiration, a mechanism which, once started, nudges you to come back, and gives you just enough sense of completion to want to repeat it tomorrow. Before we go further, let me briefly introduce the book and the thinker behind many ideas in this talk. Atomic Habits is by James Clear, a writer and speaker who has spent years studying habits, personal performance, and how small things create big results. What makes the book beloved isn't loud slogans, but the way Clear breaks change into 3 clean layers: outcomes, processes, and identity. He calls outcomes the lagging indicator of habits, reminding us that the numbers we see are reflections of what we've been repeating. He urges a shift from chasing achievements to building systems, and proposes 4 principles that help a habit take root. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. When you bring those ideas into personal finance, you discover something simple yet deep. Wealth isn't a destination. Wealth is the natural consequence of a system you run every day. From this moment, think of this as a spoken blueprint. No flashy evidence, no complicated external examples, only you, your space, your emotional rhythms, and the choices you can make in the next 2 minutes. Let's begin by looking straight at the myth of goals. There are 3 reasons a goal, by itself, doesn't have teeth to bite into real life. The first is the illusion of control. Writing, save 20%, gives you a quick hit of excitement. Like you've already covered half the distance. But if a camera followed you all day and couldn't see anything being done differently, that beautiful notebook won't mint money. The second is that goals highlight the gap. Each morning you look at a big goal. You stare directly at the part you haven't reached. That sense of lack triggers a desire for quick rewards. And ironically, you may spend impulsively to soothe the stress your goal created. The third is the rhythm of hit and relax. Once we cross a finish line, we tend to allow ourselves to let go. A fancy meal, a big treat, a month of "I deserve a break." The cycle begins, and we're back at the starting line after a few rounds of excitement. Systems move to a different rhythm. They don't end. They turn the right actions into your default. So what is a system if not a complex spreadsheet? A system is a mechanism that makes the right choice feel as natural as breathing. A good system always answers 4 questions. What cue will prompt you at the right time? What feeling will make you want to come back? What is the minimum action so small you don't have to summon willpower? And what instant reward will close the habit loop the moment you finish? When you answer those questions with concrete details from your life, a small machine rises. If you're tired tomorrow, it still runs. If you're busy next week, it still runs. If your mood dips next month, it still runs. A good system treats motivation as a bonus, not as required fuel. From here, we enter the first core lesson. Shift your focus from outcomes to processes. Don't ask, "How much money do I want?" Ask, "What system, if run consistently, makes wealth the inevitable outcome?" What you see in your account today is the shadow of decisions you repeated for months. To change the shadow, don't shout at the wall, turn the light. The light is the chain of behaviors a camera could see you perform. At what time? In which place? Doing which action? Good processes have 2 qualities. low friction and low dependence on mood. Low friction means you can start in under 2 minutes. Tools are at hand, and the path is clear. Low dependence on mood means that when feelings are absent, you still have a shortened session, so brief it leaves you no excuse. Measure what you can control. Account balances are lagging indicators. They arrive when they arrive. The number of completed sessions and the unbroken streak are leading indicators you can touch, count, and adjust them this week. The second lesson reaches the foundation of change: identity. You won't stick with a behavior that conflicts with how you see yourself. If deep down you still believe, "I'm not good with numbers. I'm not made for money. I'm not the disciplined type," you will unconsciously sabotage the right things the moment they start working. But if you choose a plain identity statement, "I am a wise steward of money," and cast a vote for that statement with small actions each day, you'll witness a different version of yourself growing quietly. Identity isn't a banner to hang, it's the sum of evidence. Each time you delay buying a non-essential item, that's a vote. Each 2-minute finance session completed on time is a vote. Each time you say, "I'll do the short version today, but I won't skip," that's a vote. At some point, the vote count becomes decisive. The new identity turns into your default. Then the right behavior stops being trying hard and becomes instinct trained by rhythm. You might worry this is too slow. That's where the third lesson arrives: the 1% rule and the valley of disappointment. Small improvements are often invisible for a few initial weeks. This is the zone of latent potential, where things accumulate under the surface. Roots are gripping soil. The ground is loosening, but the eye hasn't noticed. The impatient quit here. Those who understand the curve protect the system. Because on the other side of the valley the curve breaks linear thinking and begins to bend. In personal finance, you'll feel this on 3 fronts. Your knowledge sharpens so decisions ripen. Your system trims friction bit by bit so the process becomes so smooth you're done before laziness shows up, and your assets grow steadily until a threshold where the numbers suddenly arc like a bow. Believing this, you become immune to hurry. You stop demanding fruit while the roots are still forming. Your job is to tend the soil, keep the system running smoothly. The fourth lesson is the architecture of the machine. 4 principles that help a habit be born and grow. First, clarity. Let cues appear at the right time, in the right place, in the right form. A line that pops up at a fixed hour. A quiet, well-lit spot where sitting down tells your body, it's time. And a small object placed where you'll definitely touch it when you need to begin. When the cue is clear, you avoid negotiating every time. Second, attractiveness. The brain seeks what feels good. Wrap your finance session in a gentle atmosphere, a favorite track. A soft scent, warmth in your hands. When each session ends with a light feeling of, done, and it's good, you'll look forward to the next. Third, ease. If you must open 3 apps, remember 5 steps, and hunt for 7 items. You'll lose before you start. Standardize the action so it's a single tap, a short ritual, a crisp instruction. And fourth, satisfaction. Humans don't wait well for rewards. Don't delay joy until big numbers arrive. A tick mark, a colored stroke, a whispered, "I did my part today," that closes the dopamine loop and ties you to tomorrow. Now, from theory to design, picture a blank sheet in front of you. In the corner, write 3 outcomes you want, not to force yourself, but to orient. Below, translate each outcome into a sentence that has a day, a time, a place, and a 2-minute action. Read each sentence aloud and trim it until it rolls off your tongue, so clear you feel like doing it now. Scan your space and place the right cues at eye level where you'll reliably see them at the moment you need them. Quietly remove bad triggers. Build a small corner for your finance session, a place where sitting down automatically puts your body in the groove. Standardize the steps so thoroughly that if a stranger sat in your chair, they could follow along because everything rests where it should. Hang a simple streak tracker where you can't miss it. Define in advance a 60-second emergency version for days that are too busy or too tiring, so your streak doesn't break in the name of perfection. Rewrite your implementation language as well. Instead of the vague, "I'll manage money better," say, "At this hour, in that spot, I'll do this 2-minute session." If you miss the main time, have a backup cue. When you see it, you trigger the short version to keep the rhythm. Before you begin and when you end, prompt yourself with identity language, because I am a wise steward of money. My default choice is to complete today's session. These short lines aren't self-hypnosis. They tell your brain the path is chosen and your job is to take the next step. Along the way, a few misunderstandings can pull you off track. Some people hear, "Goals don't matter," and toss out every signpost. In truth, goals are still useful as road signs, you just don't ride them to your destination. Others fear systems as cages. In reality, systems buy your freedom. When the right things are automated, you free up mental bandwidth for creativity and enjoyment. Many blame a lack of discipline when what's missing is design. Trim the right friction and good behavior starts to look like instinct. And many wait to see results before they act, while motivation is born from acting. That's why every session must end with an immediate sense of completion. It fuels tomorrow. Environment is the habit laboratory. Put what you want to do at eye level and in the very place it's needed. A small corner, gentle light, minimal tools. A personal dashboard showing only the 3 monthly numbers you truly care about in your session schedule, little data. Always visible, can save you from persuading yourself a dozen times a day. When your space emits the right cues. Design beats willpower. Rhythm matters as much as heartbeat. A common mistake is packing everything into one heroic burst and expecting transformation. In reality, frequency beats intensity. A 2-minute daily session is stronger than a 2-hour monthly sprint because neural pathways need steady reinforcement. Identity is stamped by the cadence of appearances. And when the starting barrier is low, you often do more than planned voluntarily. Make your job to keep the rhythm. When the rhythm stabilizes, volume grows by itself. Measuring the right things is how you hold the wheel. Some numbers arrive late, others arrive early. Balance, net worth, returns. Those are lagging. You cannot force them to answer on your schedule. Completed sessions, streak integrity, and count of decisions made according to your rules, those are leading. You can steer them today. Each week, ask 3 simple questions. How many correct sessions did I complete? Did my streak break, and why? Where can I trim friction by 1% next week? Answer those steadily and you'll feel your grip on the wheel firming up. Of course, the streak will break sometimes. What matters isn't whether you ever miss, it's what you do right after. A useful rule is to allow only a single miss. Missing once is normal. Missing twice becomes a pattern. When you miss, return with a short session the next day. Then write down the reason. Was the cue unclear? The friction too high? Or the reward too faint? Fix the design. Don't interrogate yourself. A humane system always makes room for the real human, and that's exactly why it lasts. As the machine hums, you can raise standards without raising friction. Go deeper before you go wider. Refine one session rather than add a new one. Shorten the time between action and feedback so the dopamine loop closes faster. Set a minimum quality bar so done always includes done right. And keep watch. If starting suddenly feels harder, you may have touched the wire of perfectionism. Loosen it a bit so the rhythm doesn't snap. So why, in the end, do systems make you rich? Because systems replace willpower with structure, letting the right actions happen almost automatically. Because systems create steady cadence, the precondition for compounding across knowledge, skills, and assets. Because systems build identity, once wise steward of money is your default. Big and small choices tilt toward the future-friendly option. And because systems survive feelings on the days you're tired, the machine still runs. You aren't negotiating with yourself every morning. When these align, wealth stops being a lucky leap and becomes the statistical outcome of thousands of small, right sessions. If you like, write yourself a short manifesto, not to decorate a wall, but to read when you need to come back to the path. I don't chase goals, I run systems. I measure sessions and streaks. I don't bully lagging indicators into speaking early. I design my environment so right is easier than wrong. I speak the language of identity and cast a vote for it every day. I trust the curve, because what I can't yet see today is accumulating under the surface. Live by those lines and you no longer have to try to be wealthy. You live in a way that makes wealth the consequence. Before we close, give yourself exactly 1 minute when this video ends. Sit still, inhale, And write down the 2-minute money session you'll do today, a tiny ritual. Just enough to mark done with your first tick. Tomorrow, repeat. The day after, repeat. Let the machine handle the rest. And if this conversation felt useful, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me one small change you'll make to your system starting today. Subscribe so we can meet again each week in quiet evenings like this, where we stop talking about luck and start building the structure that creates it. If this message resonated, a like and a share are warm signals that help the algorithm carry this talk to more people who might need it. Thank you for staying to the very end.